What's up, Patriots Nation? Here comes that diehard fan who lives every single emotion right alongside you. Today is the day to talk about our New England Patriots, and listen, hold on tight, because what's coming is nothing short of epic. Every play, every detail, every hard-fought victory. We feel it in our skin, we carry it in our blood, and it pounds in our hearts. This video is for you, the true fan, the one who never abandons the team, who believes until the very last second, and who knows that being a Patriot is more than just cheering. It's living a passion. So go ahead and smash that like button because it helps this channel grow and shows the power of Patriots Nation everywhere. The game has already begun, the excitement is in the air, and now it's time to dive into this battle with us. Let's go, because the show is about to start. Let's go, Patriots! It almost felt like the entire season was hanging by a thread in Week 2. The Patriots could easily be staring at an 0-2 start, a dark cloud over a young quarterback and a team still trying to establish its identity. Instead, in one of the most chaotic, heart-pounding games we've seen in a long time, New England pulled off a crucial win over the Miami Dolphins, a win that demanded contributions from all three phases of the game. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't comfortable, but it was exactly the kind of victory that shows what this team is made of. And it left every fan asking the same question: are we witnessing the first true glimpse of what this new era Patriots squad can become? The spotlight belonged to Drake Maye, and there's no debate about it. All week long, the noise swirled. Was the rookie being asked to carry too much? Could he really shoulder the weight of expectations and lead this offense? On Sunday, he answered with authority.
Calm, confident, and decisive from the opening drive, Maye went 19 of 23 for 230 yards, throwing 2 touchdowns while adding another with his legs. He didn't just manage the game, he took control of it. Over 30 rushing yards, escaping pressure, and even outrunning Matthew Judon in one highlight moment showed that this kid has the tools to lead not just today, but for years to come. Add in the Patriots' debut of the much-discussed tush-push, and suddenly, all the chatter about whether Maye is the future has been silenced. He isn't just the future, he's the present, and he's getting better every single week. But if Maye steadied the ship, Antonio Gibson lit the spark that kept it afloat. Let's be honest, when Mallett Washington ripped off that crushing 80-yard punt return, it felt like the life was sucked right out of Gillette Nation. The energy shifted, the Dolphins looked ready to bury New England, and fans everywhere braced for disaster. And then, boom. Gibson took the kickoff at the 10-yard line, slicing through Miami's coverage, flipping the scoreboard, and flipping the momentum right back to New England. It wasn't just a touchdown, it was a lifeline. Without that play, this recap sounds very different. Add in Gibson's offensive production, 5 carries for 27 yards at an impressive 5.4 per rush, and it's clear he's carving out a bigger role than expected. The Dolphins kicked away from Trayvon Henderson for a reason, but Gibson made them regret every ball they sent his way. That return may have been the single most important snap of the game. And speaking of Henderson, the running back room looked sharper than it did in Week 1. Rhamondre Stevenson reminded everyone that when he's in rhythm, he's RB1 material. With 11 carries for 54 yards, 5 per touch, Stevenson showed the downhill, physical style fans fell in love with back in 2022. But it was his jaw-dropping catch out of the backfield that turned the tide. Under pressure, Maye floated a perfectly placed ball downfield. Stevenson tracked it over the shoulder, hauled it in, and rumbled nearly 40 yards through tacklers, dragging the Patriots' offense deep into Dolphins territory. Without that play, this game probably ends differently. Stevenson looked rejuvenated, dynamic, and ready to shoulder the load. While the offense came alive, the defense showed flashes of dominance up front. Milton Williams, yes, the $100 million man, proved every penny was money well spent. Stat sheets don't always tell the story, but in this case, 2 sacks, a quarterback hit, and the game-sealing 4th down sack speak for themselves. Pair that with his 9 pressures across 2 weeks, and it's clear Williams is becoming the heartbeat of this front. Alongside Harold Landry, who already has 4 sacks and 10 pressures in 2 games, this rebuilt front 7 looks like a problem for every quarterback they'll face. For years, Patriots fans begged for a dominant pass rush. It might finally be here. Still, no win comes without its red flags. Alex Austin had a rough day in coverage, and there's no sugarcoating it. With Christian Gonzalez sidelined, Austin was thrust into the spotlight, and Tyreek Hill made him pay. 6 catches, 109 yards, the first time Hill broke the 100-yard mark in over a year. Add in a blown assignment on Jalen Waddle's wide-open touchdown, and it was clear the Dolphins targeted him relentlessly. Growing pains are expected, but if New England wants to compete against elite receivers, they'll need much tighter coverage and Gonzalez back on the field as soon as possible. Up front, the offensive line avoided disaster but still raised concerns. Morgan Moses, a veteran who should provide stability, struggled with costly false starts and even allowed pressure that led to a sack. At 35 years old, discipline should be his strength, yet mistakes piled up. To make matters worse, he ended the day in a walking boot. If he's out, the Patriots may be looking at starting 3 rookies on the offensive line, hardly ideal protection for their young quarterback. And then there's the kicker. Andy Borgales might be the most controversial figure on the roster right now. Bill Belichick, or rather, the front office that made the call, chose him over John Parker Romo, and through 2 weeks, that decision looks shaky. Borgales nailed a clutch 53-yarder, but the misses overshadowed the make. 1 for 3 on extra points is unacceptable. In a league where games are so often decided by a single score, leaving points on the field is a recipe for heartbreak. Patriots fans know all too well how thin the margin for error can be. You can't survive many weeks if your kicker is a liability. And let's not ignore the discipline issues. 12 penalties. 12. That number will haunt this coaching staff all week because it almost cost the game outright. You can't spot an opponent that many free yards and expect to beat stronger teams. Against Miami, a team still struggling to find consistency, the Patriots survived. Against Pittsburgh next week? Against contenders down the road? That kind of sloppiness will bury you. And that's where the real question lingers. Was this just beating up on a bad Dolphins team? Or is this the spark that can carry the Patriots into something bigger? The Steelers loom large in week 3, and a 2-1 start would change the entire narrative of this season. Drop to 1-2, and suddenly the pressure, the doubts, and the questions all creep back in. Now I'll throw it to you. After watching this game, do you believe this was a turning point, or was it simply surviving against a weak opponent? Should the Patriots seriously consider bringing in another kicker before it's too late? And do you trust this offensive line to protect Drake Maye once the competition stiffens? Let me know what you think, because the answers to those questions might just define where this season is heading. Because the truth is, as thrilling as this win was, it still left the fan base with that uneasy heartbeat. The kind you feel when you're watching a team that shows flashes of greatness but also flirts with disaster on every other drive. That's why the nickname Cardiac Pats is already sticking. It's not just about one game. It's the feeling that every Sunday could be a roller coaster ride where no lead is safe, no mistake is small, and no fan can sit back and relax until the final whistle blows. And maybe, just maybe, that's the identity of this team for 2025. Unpredictable, chaotic, but never boring. Look closer, and you'll see how fragile this balance is. 12 penalties, think about that for a moment. 12 self-inflicted wounds, many of them at critical junctures. False starts that stalled drives, defensive lapses that extended Miami possessions, unnecessary sloppiness that turned what could have been a comfortable win into a nail-biter. Discipline is one of the core traits Patriots football has been built on for decades, and losing that edge could unravel the foundation of this team faster than any opponent can. If Mike Vrabel and his staff can't clean that up immediately, it won't matter how talented Maye, Stevenson, Gibson, or Williams look. Penalties kill momentum, they kill confidence, and against better teams, they will kill games. And speaking of confidence, the kicker situation demands urgent attention. Andy Borgales is a young player, and yes, he showed off that booming leg with the 53-yarder. But fans aren't wrong to be skeptical. Extra points are supposed to be automatic, chip shots that every professional kicker is expected to make in their sleep. Missing 2 of them in one game is a red flag you can't ignore. Imagine this same scenario against a playoff-caliber opponent, where those missed points swing the outcome. Suddenly, that booming leg doesn't matter if the basics aren't there. Some are already calling for him to be cut, while others suggest stashing him on the practice squad to develop. Either way, the front office has a decision to make, and they can't afford to wait until it costs the team a crucial game. But despite the frustration, there's no denying that the foundation is strong. The front 7 is ferocious. Milton Williams and Harold Landry look like cornerstone pieces who can dictate the line of scrimmage every single week. Drake Maye, still only in his second start, has already shown poise and growth that few rookies ever flashed this early. Antonio Gibson and Rhamondre Stevenson are proving that New England's backfield can be as dangerous as it is versatile. And Josh McDaniels, back in his element calling plays, seems to finally be clicking with this young core. The pieces are there, it's just about whether they can be put together consistently. That's why week 3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers feels so massive. On paper, it's just one more regular season game. But in reality, it's a chance to answer the looming question, is this team for real? A 2-1 start means momentum, confidence, and validation that this group can handle adversity. A 1-2 start, especially after beating up on what many are calling a bad Dolphins team, puts the Patriots right back on the defensive, fighting off questions about discipline, reliability, and whether the rebuild is really working. Patriots fans know the standard. They've lived through the years when anything less than a deep playoff run was considered failure. And while this new chapter doesn't carry the same dynastic expectations, it does demand growth, identity, and progress. Beating Miami was a step. Beating Pittsburgh could be a statement. So I'll leave it with you once more. Are you buying into Drake Maye as the future? Not just because of stats, but because of the way he commands this team? Do you believe Antonio Gibson's return was the turning point, the moment that truly saved this season from spiraling? And more importantly, do you think this Patriots team has the discipline, the consistency, and the killer instinct to stop being the cardiac Pats and start being a contender again? Drop your thoughts, because this conversation isn't just about one win, it's about the direction of the entire season. And when you step back and look at the bigger picture, what makes this so compelling is how fragile the margin of error really is for this team. The Patriots aren't blowing anyone out. They aren't steamrolling their opponents with overwhelming talent. Instead, every single week is shaping up to be a knife's edge battle, where one mistake or one heroic play completely rewrites the story. That's exactly why fans can't look away. 1 minute, you're burying your face in your hands after a backbreaking penalty or blown coverage, and the next, you're on your feet screaming as Antonio Gibson takes it 90 yards to the house. It's maddening. It's exhilarating. And it's the kind of football that keeps you hooked, no matter how stressful it gets. But here's the catch. Living on the edge like this isn't sustainable. You can survive against teams like Miami, who came into this game already struggling. You might even get by against another mid-tier opponent or two. But eventually, those cracks, those penalties, those missed kicks, those lapses in coverage turn from bruises into fatal blows. That's what makes this Steelers game so vital. It's not just about the standings. It's about proving that this team can learn, adapt, and tighten up when it matters most. The NFL doesn't forgive repeat mistakes, and if the Patriots want to turn the cardiac Pats into a playoff-caliber team, they'll need to prove they can close the gaps and stop playing with fire. And let's not forget, the AFC doesn't give you breathing room. Every week feels like survival of the fittest, especially with teams like the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills already looking sharp. Even the middle-tier squads are dangerous if you give them opportunities. That's why New England's margin for error is so slim. The defense looks like it's turning into a real weapon, but until the offensive line proves it can consistently protect May and the kicking game stops giving away free points, it's hard to trust this team against heavyweights. Still, that doesn't mean hope is misplaced. In fact, if you squint just a little, you can see the outlines of something real here. Drake Maye has that factor. His calm in the pocket, his willingness to take shots, and his ability to make plays on the ground all point to a quarterback who can elevate those around him. Rhamondre Stevenson's resurgence gives this offense balance, Antonio Gibson's versatility adds an X factor, and Milton Williams' disruptive presence up front makes every quarterback uncomfortable. These aren't flashes of luck, they're the building blocks of a team with a future. The only question is how quickly they can put it all together. And that's why this season already feels like more than just wins and losses. It's about finding out who belongs, who can carry the load, and who might not make it past this year. Alex Austin's struggles are a reminder of how brutal this league is. One bad game on an island against a receiver like Tyreek Hill, and suddenly your name is the headline for all the wrong reasons. Andy Borgale's missed kicks show how unforgiving fans are when points vanish from the scoreboard. On the other side, Drake Maye's rise proves how quickly someone can flip the narrative. So here's the real challenge I'll throw out to the fan base. What matters more right now? The wins on the scoreboard, or the growth we're seeing week by week? Do you want the cardiac Pats label to stick all season? Or do you believe this is the kind of team that can sharpen its edges, find its identity, and transform close calls into commanding victories? Because make no mistake, how this team responds over the next few weeks will decide if this season is just another rebuild year, or if it's the beginning of something special. And now, I want to hear it straight from you. Was this victory against the Dolphins the start of a new momentum swing, or just a wild escape that won't hold up against tougher opponents? Do you think the Patriots should already be exploring other options at kicker, or do you give Borgales more time to find his rhythm? Most importantly, are you convinced that Drake Maye has already proven he's the guy, or do you need to see him do it against a stronger defense before you're all in? Your answers are going to shape the pulse of this fan base, and the conversation starts right now.